live Channels Television event.
This is Channels Television, your home for the news. We interrupt our regular programming to the Federal Capital Territory for a broadcast of the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit. Do stay on with us.
Rest of them, forestry. These discussions are expected to generate practical recommendations that will strengthen project development, improve coordination, and shape future investment pipelines and priorities within the region. Finally, today's deliberation will culminate with the launch of the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Fund and the inauguration of the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Council. Together, these represent the financial and institutional platforms that will carry this initiative beyond this summit. It's not just an ordinary summit. They will be supported by the adoption of a communique that captures our shared commitments, the actions agreed today, and the roadmaps for implementation going forward. By the end of today, our goal is to live with more than ideas. We should live with stronger partnerships, clearer commitments, shared implementation pathways, and renewed confidence that the Niger Delta can become one of Nigeria's foremost destinations for agricultural investments. That is the task before us, and I'm confident working together, it is one we can easily accomplish at the end of this summit. Thank you for coming and thank you for listening. May God bless Nigeria.
Please, another round of applause for Dr. Kingsley Uzoma. One man that matches words with action. And of course, if you have been keeping pace with development in the agricultural space, that name, of course, is on everybody's lips. Once again, a round of applause for the Senior Special Assistant to the President for his introductory remarks. It's now time to make some progress. And you know what they say, when government, investors, development partners, and communities work together, development ceases to be an inspiration. It becomes an achievement. It is now my honor to introduce a man who gives vision and direction, because good leadership brings transformation. Please, a round of applause for the man with a vision, the transformative leader in the NDDC, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, PhD, as he makes his way to the podium for the welcome address. That applause can be better placed for him as he comes forward.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, and the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, representatives of other governors here present, the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Regional Development, other permanent secretaries that are representing their various ministers, Executive Directors of the NDDC, traditional rulers, development partners, various stakeholders, please permit me to rest on a well-established protocol. I want to use this opportunity to thank Mr. President for giving us this direction an opportunity to change the narrative in the Niger Delta. All what is happening in the Niger Delta today is just the vision of Mr. President. Mr. President brought into a commission that was condemned, a commission that was seen to be a filthy rag, a commission that was considered to be a failed commission. With leadership, Mr. President was able to put a team together, gave directives to that team. With proper supervision, he was able to breathe life into the NDDC, and today the NDDC is alive again. And I believe most of us are here to honor this invitation because of the renewed commitment and trust you have for the Niger Delta Development Commission. Today, the Niger Delta Development Commission has carried out several projects across the length and breadth of the Niger Delta, that today there is that confidence from the people of the Niger Delta that the NDDC is serving the purpose of which it was established. Today, NDDC has carried out serious projects, like one of our iconic projects, the Kaataba Bridge, which is 1.2 kilometers long, which I would say in recent times will be one of the longest bridges outside the Eko, the Ikoyi, Lekki Link Bridge, and the second Niger Bridge, which the second Niger Bridge is about 1.6 kilometers, and the Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge is about 1.35 kilometers. The Kaataba Bridge is 1.2 kilometers. That is part of the achievement of His Excellency Mr. President in the Niger Delta region, amongst many other projects that are going on across the region. This bridge is going to be completed by next month and will be ready for Mr. President to commission. I believe many persons never expected that such is possible under the Niger Delta Development Commission. But with vision, you can see reality. That is why in NDDC, we define a renewed hope as transmitting ideas and vision into reality. So this is idea and vision that is being transmitted into reality. Your Excellency, the Vice President, I want to say thank you for making this event coming to be a reality. You have worked very hard and mobilized various stakeholders to ensure that this event is a reality as directed by His Excellency Mr. President. The Niger Delta region is a region that is very rich in oil and gas exploration. Before oil and gas exploration, the national economy of the Niger Delta was fishing and farming. That is to say, our people survived outside oil and gas. And even in the old eastern region, where part of Niger Delta was in the eastern region, some was in the Midwest region, those that were in the Midwest region were the richest in cocoa, then those that were in the eastern region were the richest in palm oil. These produce were most of the cash crops that actually backed the economy of those regions as at then and Nigeria. But with the advent of crude oil exploration, it's like we went to sleep. But today, we're here with our shared vision and commitment to make history by putting together the Niger Delta Development, the Agri-Development and Investment Summit, taking place today on the 15th of July 2026. I believe collectively we are all making history today. This summit is not just one of those talk shops where people just come, talk, and go. This summit is expected to produce results because Mr. President is committed to ensuring that at least the economy of the Niger Delta is diversified and the economy of Nigeria is diversified. That is why one of the major cardinal points of the Renewed Hope agenda is agriculture and food security. So today, in making that a reality, we are going to be launching, as one of the high points of this event, a $500 million Niger Delta Agricultural Development Investment Fund. And I believe most of the stakeholders that are going to be part of this fund are already in this room. That is why I will ask, or some other persons there might ask, why Abuja? Why not Niger Delta? But we have to bring this event to Abuja because we are looking for funds. Let us make it easy for the stakeholders, those who have the money, to attend and not for them to give us excuses. So for the fact that we are looking for, we have to. And when we get this fund is going to be commercially managed. It's going to be a commercially managed vehicle that will fund opportunities across the various value chain of agricultural investment. And to change the landscape of the Niger Delta in terms of investment. Today, we are all witness to the fact that most of the IOCs are divesting from the Niger Delta. They are going deep offshore because they don't want communal responsibilities. While they are going deep offshore, let the agribusiness come into the region. And that is why we are bringing this summit here today, to invite the agribusiness into the Niger Delta. Most of the agribusinesses are also giant enough to compete with the IOCs. Today, Olam is also a very big, giant agribusiness that is doing very well in Nigeria. For such investments to come into the Niger Delta is also going to create job opportunities. It's also going to ensure that at least there's wealth creation for the people and there's going to be sustainable development. So with this vision that we're all committing today, we believe this summit is going to be a successful one. For the stakeholders, please, we want you to support this program and the process, because the summit today is not just going to be the end of what we are doing today. It's going to be the beginning of a new chapter in the Niger Delta. Because the fund, we believe, being a commercial investment fund, which is also going to be profitable to those who are going to donate to this fund and also invest in this fund. We believe it is going to be mutually beneficial to both the people of the Niger Delta and also the investors. Because the Niger Delta is a viable investment environment. Today, I can pride myself to say in Nigeria, the Niger Delta is the most secured part of Nigeria. And with that, we believe that is a license that is good enough to attract you to the region. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I officially welcome you to the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit. Let us participate with our mind open, contribute where necessary, ask questions, and for the stakeholders, investors, development partners, we need our commitment to change the narrative of the Niger Delta and to move Nigeria forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. MD and CEO, Niger Delta Development Commission, Chief Samuel Ogboko, PhD. Please, another round of applause for him. The summary is the fertile lands of the Niger Delta are as valuable as the resources beneath them. One fuels industries and the other sustains humanity. And indeed, when the Niger Delta thrives, the nation flourishes. Thank you once again, the MD of the NDDC. It's now time to listen to our next speaker. And the next speaker is someone who is providing strategic leadership in advancing the mandate of the Niger Delta Development Commission and fostering a renewed vision for regional development. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a thunderous applause, let's make welcome the chairman of the NDDC Governing Board, Mr. Chiedu Ebie, Esquire.
Your Excellency, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, and representatives of other governors, Honorable Minister for Regional Development, Permanent Secretaries, Your Majesties, our traditional rulers, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. For as long as most of us can remember, the Niger Delta has answered to one name, and just one name, the home of oil and gas. But the region is never only what has made it famous, it is also what has been waiting patiently to be seen. Beneath our reputation for oil and gas lies fertile land, abundant water, and a young population hungry for purpose. This summit turns us finally towards the other Niger Delta. So what has held us back has not been a shortage of potential. Our soil has always been capable, our people have always been willing. What we lacked was structure, the right capital arriving through the right channels, matched to a real pipeline of bankable projects, and that is precisely what today's fund and council to be established seeks to provide. Permit me, on behalf of the Commission, to commend what is being built here today on 4 pillars. Number 1, a fund to back agriculture at every stage, from planting and rearing to processing, market-ready production, and across aquaculture, cassava, livestock, and beyond. Secondly, coordination with the public sector, multilateral agencies, private sector, and commercial partners already active in the region. And thirdly, discipline, as our 9 mandate states bring forward projects tested through feasibility and market validation. And finally, an institution, the Council itself, to hold all of this together under the leadership of His Excellency, the Vice President, with its Secretariat domiciled in the Commission. This is then more than an initiative we're pleased to witness. It strengthens the work our Commission already carries out daily in every community across the mandate states. And so we do not just welcome it, we stand ready to carry it with the terrain we know, the relationships we have built, and our conviction that agriculture in this region must become a serious business, one that attracts capital, feeds agro-processing, and opens its doors to our youths, our women, and our cooperatives, not as beneficiaries or charity, but as owners of opportunity. I would therefore like, on behalf of the Governing Board of NDDC, to join everyone in of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and Vice President Kashim Shettima, whose leadership placed this summit on the national calendar. The governors of our 9 mandate states and every institution represented here today, whether you bring policy, capital, technical expertise, or discipline of implementation, alone, none of you will be enough. Together, you're exactly what this moment demands. The time has come for the Niger Delta to be known not only for what lies beneath it, but what grows on top of it. That is the future of this summit. That is the future this summit seeks to build, and the Niger Delta Development Commission is honored to build it with you. Together we can transform the Niger Delta, together we can feed the nation, together we can attract the world. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I thought that applause would be better for the Chairman, Governing Board of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, agriculture is a bridge between natural abundance and shared prosperity. And every hectare cultivated is another step to security, employment, and economic stability, which we all do, but of course in Nigeria as a whole. Thank you once again, the Chairman, Governing Board of the NDDC. It's now time to listen to our next speaker. You know what to say. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And so it's important that we hear from this strategic leader. And you know, the transformation of our regions is fundamental to the transformation of our nation. It is now my singular honor and privilege to invite to the podium the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, FNSC. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes forward for his goodwill message. Celebrate him some more. He's a proud son of Edo State, I must mention that. And as a proud daughter of Edo State, I should introduce him properly.
I'm from Edo State. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the representative of the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, are hereby recognized. Also to be recognized are the representatives of the government that are here present, and also representative of ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me also recognize my permanent secretary, Dr. Mrs. Mary Ogbe, and all other permanent secretaries that are here present. I can see a number of traditional rulers from Niger Delta. You all recognized, including my good friend, Alhaji Asari Dokubo. I especially recognize the representatives of the Omana Banedo Uku Akpolopolo, the second, the Oba of Benin Sacred Kingdom. Oba Atokwe, thank you very much. Let me also recognize the presence of development partners and all others that are here present. Today is a very special and unique occasion for us in the Niger Delta as we witness this very summit. And it is with great pleasure that I join distinguished stakeholders at this very landmark event of Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit and the official launch of the Niger Agricultural Development and Investment Fund. Permit me to sincerely commend the Office of the Vice President under the leadership of His Excellency distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, and the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for conceiving and organizing this important initiative. For us as a ministry, our role is supervision, coordination, and policy alignment. And because what we are witnessing here today is in line with the policy of the federal government, that's why the NDDC also came into it. And of course, it's being organized from the office of the Vice President. I also wish to also acknowledge the invaluable contributions of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, our state governments, development partners, financial institutions, investors, traditional rulers, the private sector, and all stakeholders whose presence underscores our shared commitment to unlocking the vast agricultural potentials of the Niger Delta. This summit comes at a defining moment in our nation's economic trajectory. Under the visionary leadership of our Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, The Renew Hope agenda has placed agriculture at the heart of Nigeria's economic transformation. It recognizes that sustainable prosperity lies not only beneath our soil in mineral resources, but also upon it, in the fertile land that has the capacity to feed our people, create jobs, generate exports, and strengthen our economy. Since the discovery of oil in Olobiri about 70 years ago, the Niger Delta has been the backbone of Nigeria's economy through its immense contribution to oil and gas sector. Today, however, we have the opportunity to redefine the economic narrative of the region. The Niger Delta possesses abundant arable land, rich waterways, favorable climatic conditions, and enormous potential in oil palm, cashew, cassava, rice, cocoa, fisheries, aquaculture, rubber, and several other high-value agricultural commodities. These cooperative advantages position the region to become a major contributor to Nigeria's food security and agro-industrial development. This summit is particularly significant because it comes at a time when the federal government, through the Ministry of Regional Development, has taken a historic step towards unveiling the National Regional Development Policy 2026 to 2030, the first comprehensive policy framework designed to guide coordinated and sustainable regional development across our country. Developed through extensive consultations with stakeholders across all 6 regions of all our 6 geopolitical zones, the policy, once it is approved by the Federal Executive Council, provides a common vision for unlocking the unique cooperative advantages of every region while promoting balanced national development. The National Regional Development Policy recognizes that every region has distinct economic strength, and that development interventions must be tailored to those strengths. For the Niger Delta, our cooperative advantage extends beyond oil and gas. It lies equally in our vast agricultural resources, extensive inland waterways, fertile soils, fisheries, aquaculture, and agro-processing potential. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, agriculture today must not be viewed as a business rather than merely a livelihood. It is therefore significant that this summit is not only about discussing agriculture, it is about creating a credible investment ecosystem capable of attracting long-term capital into commercially viable agricultural enterprises. The launch of the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investments Fund represents a bold and innovative step in this direction. This fund should be able to transform agriculture from subsistence activity into a vibrant engine of inclusive economic growth by mobilizing public and private sector investment, de-risking viable agricultural ventures, and creating a pipeline of backable projects. As a ministry, we fully support this initiative because it aligns perfectly with our mandate of promoting balanced regional development and reducing economic disparities across our region. Working through the Niger Delta Development Commission and the other regional development commissions, we remain committed to providing the enabling environment that agriculture requires to thrive. Hitherto, as Ministry of Niger Delta Development, we have contributed in area of agriculture, agro-processing. We have trained thousands of young men and women in small-scale poultry, fisheries, and aquaculture, cropping and apiculture, beekeeping. I am proud to say that we have built and handed over different agro-processing factories in different states of the Niger Delta. These include integrated oil processing, cassava processing, rice mill, in Abia State, fish feed mill in Warri, Delta State, etc. Similarly, the ministry has supplied various agricultural machinery and equipment like tractors, mechanical tillers, tricycle, trucks, boats, fishing gears, smoke, skills, and enough. We recognize that agricultural prosperity depends on more than fertile land. It requires quality infrastructure, efficient transportation networks, reliable power supply, irrigation system, rural roads, storage facilities, human capital development, and access to finance. Our ministry will continue to work with relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government to strengthen these foundations and ensure that agricultural investment are sustainable and profitable. I wish to particularly emphasize the role of our young people and women in this transformation. The future of agriculture lies in innovation, mechanization, digital technology, climate-smart farming, and value addition. We must deliberately empower our youth and women with the skills, financing, and opportunities required to build globally competitive agri-businesses that create wealth and employment across the Niger Delta. Distinguished guests, government alone cannot achieve all of this vision. We require strong partnerships among the federal government, state governments, development finance institutions, international partners, research institutions, private investors, farmer cooperatives, and our traditional institutions. Action that we can unlock the enormous agricultural potentials of the region. I therefore call upon investors, both local and international, to see the Niger Delta through a new lens, not merely as an oil-producing region, but as one of Africa's most promising destinations for agricultural investment. The opportunities are immense, the market is vast, and with the right partnerships, the returns will be significant for investors while improving livelihoods for millions of our people. As we deliberate today, I urge all stakeholders to focus on practical outcomes. Let us identify investment and investable projects, establish enduring partnerships, and develop clear implementation frameworks that will translate today's discussion into measurable impact. In closing, let me reaffirm the unwavering commitment of the Ministry of Regional Development to supporting the implementation of the outcomes of the summit and collaborating with all stakeholders to ensure the success of the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Fund. Together, let us transform the Niger Delta into not only Nigeria's energy hub, but also its agricultural powerhouse, one that drives food security, creates jobs, expands exports, and delivers sustainable prosperity for present and future generations. And thank you all for your kind attention and wish us a highly productive and successful summit. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, God bless NDDC, and God bless our Vice President who is here with us today. We thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much.
Please, another powerful round of applause for the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, the one and the only Engineer Abubakar Momo, FNSE. Thank you so much, sir, for those powerful remarks. Indeed, despite the challenges in the Niger Delta is not asking for sympathy. It is demonstrating capacity. And that is what this summit is all about. Thank you. With your kind permission, Your Excellency, I would like to make a few recognitions. We have joining us the Ayeni. Thank you for joining us in the room. Also present is the National President of Host Communities of Nigeria Producing Oil and Gas, His Royal Highness Tamara Nebi Benjamin Style. Thank you for being here. It's now time to listen to the keynote. And you know, every great transformation begins with a bold vision. And this keynote address sets the tone for this vision. It's also going to challenge us to see not just where we are, but where we can be. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I invite a respected business leader and chairman of Origin Group, Prince S.J. Samuel, to deliver the keynote address. Please, a round of applause for him. It is titled Niger Delta, Awakening an Agricultural Giant. Please, another round of applause for him.
Mr. Vice President, our first Agric economist, Vice President, and a very passionate lover of agriculture. Anybody who is in agriculture in Nigeria knows what you did when you were governor. And those investments are still there. We're waiting to see them come to life. We want to appreciate you indeed for the work you're doing for Agric. We also recognize governors here present today, the representative of the governor of Akwa Ibom State. We also know what Akwa Ibom has been doing to transform agriculture. We recognize ministers that are here present, permanent secretaries. I really want to appreciate the ministers that represent agriculture and livestock. Thank you very much for coming. I want to recognize our diplomatic corps that are present today, also here, our core partners in developing agriculture. I want to recognize the management and board of NDDC. I've always said it in the close, but I will say it publicly today. I've been a bit close to NDDC the last 15 years, and I think I want to say that this is the most transformative, the most people-oriented board that NDDC has ever had. I call myself a development engineer because everything I have done has been how to develop the people and contribute to grassroots development. And so when I was called just a few days ago that, oh, we discussed this, you have to give the keynotes. I'm not one who is up to speeches, but I will try my best today to try to give a context to what we must do. The Niger Delta has 46 million people over, and is currently home to over 25 trillion of food market. It is currently the largest delta in Africa, the third largest in the world. It houses Nigeria's largest deposit of fish. And of course, we used to call it the oil river. The oil river you know or you hear about is not crude oil. It's actually palm oil. And you can also refer to the oil that we can find in sharks and whales, which powered the world. I'm sure many of us didn't know that shark and whales powered what we used to use to power homes and even several of our locomotives before we found crude oil. So agriculture is actually a core part of the Niger Delta. And agriculture is one thing that we are yet to unlock. But why? We are aware that state government like Akwa Ibom has repeatedly invested in agriculture like tractors, Cross River, and many other states in the Niger Delta. We're also aware that NEDC successive administrations have been investing in agriculture one way or the other. But what has been the problem? The problem is that we have been very subsistent in nature. And you can't blame us. This is how agriculture has been done the last 50 years. And we are also very individualistic in nature when it comes to agriculture. We just want to fend for ourselves, eat what we produce. But agriculture has grown far bigger than that. It has become a huge commercial venture. It has its own cartel systems around the world today. And aside from that, it has become highly high-tech. That the crude way we do it now is no longer sustainable, and it can't take us anywhere. If you look at it, the total cumulative size of agricultural capital or consumption in Nigeria is over $144 billion annually. It is bigger than almost every sector. But if you find a local farmer in Nigeria, you find them ragtag. Whereas these guys are millionaires. Why am I saying so? Every average farmer in Nigeria earns between $1,000 to $2,000 annually. This same farmer can actually earn $200,000 if the right structure is put to agriculture. So the challenge has been that we have kept it the same way it has been over the years, rather than creating and putting structure around it. So what would I challenge the NEDC to do differently? The NEDC has all the potential. The 9th state of the NEDC is a country on its own. And of course, the nations that make that country within a country called Nigeria has a very, very huge capacity. These are strong people, highly fertile community, and of course, very youthful people. What we can do differently, which we are already pioneering by the grace of God in Nigeria. Some of us who know Origin Tech Group, which I represent, is building the largest food logistics hub, second largest in the world, in Lagos. We have put together the largest fleet of cold chain trucks, over 500 of them in Lagos. And so, we believe that this can be translated also in the Niger Delta. Niger Delta can build one of the logistics hubs similar to that of Lagos. And you will ask why. It doesn't produce enough now. But look, that is what is missing. Currently, our markets are unstructured. They are not organized. And we can structure them. We can organize them. And that's where the logistics hubs come in. Before, the first or one of the very successful logistics hub in the world is the Rungis market in Paris. The Rungis market in Paris was completed in 1969. And that was just when the world was finding its feet after the Second World War. Before then, you might not know that Africa actually fueled Europe. We do provide most of agricultural commodities to Europe, which is why most of our rails were working at that time, because most of the locomotives that you find at the rail networks were all feeding the ports with agricultural commodities. And immediately, structure was put to agriculture in Europe, Rungis, Royal Flour in Netherlands. All of this immediately begin to balkanize our agriculture, and on the back of that, our rail system all collapsed. So what am I saying? If you organize and put structure to market and build a large organized market, what will happen is that will pull demand. It will pull capital, and of course, we can begin to make the right transformation. So people talk about infrastructure. We talk about supply of tractors. We talk about a number of stuff. I say every day that we have done this years on years and years again. And by the way, my company is the largest assembler of tractors in Nigeria, and we are currently the largest stockist of tractors. If you want 2,000 tractors today, I can supply it. You don't need to import it. But I will tell you that we must first do the right thing. And what do we have to do? we must put the right infrastructure in place. I am very happy to see a Niger Delta that is not having projects that are completed within time, within 2 years, just at the right time. This is a right step in the right direction. We can see infrastructure coming up, and I must say that the federal government is building two very, very notable projects: the Lagos Coastal Highway and the the Sokoto Badagry. Those two highways will definitely network our agriculture and support what we are talking about. Today also, through the logistics hub in Lagos, we are about to commission the project, and we will be allowing or opening up for people to come and invest. Not only that, we would also create an opportunity for every Nigerian, every farmer to come and get an offtake guarantee. What's an offtake guarantee? You would be able to get a check for 100 million, a check for 20 million, depending on what you produce. And with the logistics hub, what happens? We can store what you bring in, we can tell you what to produce, we can tell you when to bring it to the market. How would this impact the Niger Delta? The Niger Delta can do the same thing. Take, for example, just cast your eyes to the artisanal fishermen in the Niger Delta. Most of these artisanal fishermen go all night into the deep seas to try to crawl as much fish as they can. These fish that they crawl have no definitive market, and again have no storage. Again, there's no capital for the woman who can buy it and dry it. This is what you find in the Niger Delta. And most of the time, these back-breaking jobs end up with men who live in penury. Not because they didn't try, just because we fail to give them an organized and structured market. But with a logistics hub, what will happen is that before he produces, we tell him what catch he should bring, we tell him the size he should bring it, we tell him where to drop it immediately he brings it, we tell him how to grade it and standardize it, we tell him how it can be priced. And he is sure that what he is bringing is going direct to market. So, the logistics hub, when built in the Niger Delta, would be able to create the right kind of millionaires in the farming sector for the Niger Delta people. Aside from this, if you remember and cast your mind back, look at bananas. Nigeria's banana market is actually in the Niger Delta region. Fruits like pineapple, all of these fruits are produced in the Niger Delta. Unfortunately, lack of cold chain trucks, lack of structured market, lack of structured offtake has actually not or killed the existing people or impeded the kind of growth that we expected. What we expect, by the grace of God, when the new logistics hub that we are building in Port Harcourt, when completed, we will be able to give some off-chain guarantees to farmers. By the grace of God, we've been working with the NDDC the last 2 years, or the last 1 year over, and designing, looking at the right location, looking at aggregation hub, looking at what we call the grading and aggregation centers, which will be built in every state of the Niger Delta. We would also be building a 5 million metric ton storage capacity, cold, dry, and all kind of storage of food in the Niger Delta in Port Harcourt. When this facility is completed, which is aimed to be completed within 18 months, we'll be able to open and champion the kind of investment that we are talking about. Remember, I mentioned this is a 24 trillion food market. And if you want to do a 24 trillion food market, those who can do the maths will tell you, you need huge capex and you need a very good opex to support it. And the amount we are looking for today is indeed just a tip of the iceberg. Some of us recall that last year, June, Lagos launched a 1 trillion 500 billion Produce for Lagos Fund. And this fund actually achieved a 1 trillion promissory note, and this fund, by the grace of God, will soon be in the market operating. So I'm confident that we can raise the $500 million required for this project here. Our organization, the Origin Tech Group, has already made commitment to the MD and NDCC that, look, we are willing, able, and ready, and we are not just speakers. We have done it. People can see what we have done, and you can visit our project in Lagos and all our various projects. Our middle-level market, which we built in Idioro, has been very successful, paid back within 2 years. It's a model that we want to replicate everywhere. I can talk more and more about the opportunities that are there, but I leave you with this promise. Nigeria can only get better. It can go worse. And why? The federal government is taking the right step in the right direction. We are putting people in the right places. Now we are doing the conversation. With the right conversations like this, we are just moving in the right direction. And by the grace of God, we will achieve our goals. I want to thank everyone for listening. And I want to thank the Vice President, MD of NEDC, and the Champ for the opportunity of this speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our keynote speaker. Well delivered indeed. Thank you for doing that properly and thoroughly. We appreciate you. You know what they say, the quickest way to one's heart is through food. But I want to tweak that a bit. The quickest way to national prosperity is through agriculture. And thankfully, our next speaker is leading that journey. If you have been following the Renewed Hope mandate, I'm sure you would agree with me that agriculture is at the heart of this administration. And the man leading that journey is the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, CON, who is ably represented today by the Permanent Secretary in that ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture as he comes forward to give the ministerial speech. It is on the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda for food security. Please pay rapt attention.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Transformative Permanent Secretaries here present, the Managing Director and CEO NEDC, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our royal fathers, distinguished stakeholders, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, would have loved to be here, but for other call to duty, which took him outside Abuja. And he has asked me to deliver this very brief speech. So the content is his, but the voice is mine. It gives me great pleasure to join you at this important NDDC Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit. I commend the board and management of the NDDC for convening this timely gathering, which demonstrates a shared commitment to unlocking the immense economic potential of the Niger Delta through sustainable development, strategic partnerships, and inclusive growth. I also acknowledge the presence of Your Excellencies, distinguished members of the National Assembly, state governors, ministers, development partners, traditional rulers, private sector leaders, members of the academia, farmers organizations, women and youth groups, and all stakeholders dedicated to building a prosperous Niger Delta and a stronger Nigeria. Today, I have the privilege of speaking on the federal government's Renew Hope agenda for food security. Food security is one of the most important priorities of the administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Shortly after assuming office, Mr. President declared a national emergency on food security, recognizing that ensuring affordable, available, accessible, and nutritious food for all Nigerians is fundamental to economic stability, poverty reduction, national security, and social cohesion. This bold declaration was not merely symbolic. It marked the beginning of a comprehensive program of reforms and investments aimed at transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector into a modern, resilient, competitive, and commercially driven sector capable of feeding our growing population while creating jobs, expanding exports, and reducing dependence on food imports. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Renew Hope agenda is anchored on the conviction that agriculture remains Nigeria's most strategic economic asset outside the petroleum sector. Agriculture contributes significantly to our gross domestic product, employs millions of Nigerians, and provides livelihoods for rural communities across the country. Our ministry is therefore implementing reforms designed to increase productivity across all agricultural value chains. These include improving farmers' access to quality seeds and seedlings, fertilizers, and crop protection products, expanding irrigation and dry season farming, promoting agricultural mechanization, strengthening extension services, reducing post-harvest losses, expanding agricultural finance, supporting agro-processing, and improving access to domestic and export markets. Through the National Agricultural Growth Scheme and Agro Pockets, which we call NAGS-AP, we are supporting some smallholder farmers which subsidize agricultural inputs while leveraging digital technology to improve transparency and efficiency in program delivery. This initiative continues to strengthen productivity, particularly among vulnerable farming households. We are equally advancing the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone initiative in collaboration with state governments, development finance institutions, and private investors to stimulate agro-industrial development, create rural employment, reduce food losses, and strengthen agricultural value chains. Mechanization remains another critical pillar of our strategy. The ministry is expanding access to tractors, harvesters, planters, and other modern equipment through public-private partnerships and service provider models, enabling farmers to cultivate larger areas efficiently while reducing production costs. Recognizing the increasing impact of climate change, we are investing in climate-smart agriculture through improved seeds varieties, irrigation infrastructure, efficient water management, sustainable land use practices, digital advisory services, and climate-resilient farming technologies. Distinguished participants, the Niger Delta occupies a unique place within Nigeria's agricultural future. Beyond its globally recognized petroleum resources lies one of the country's richest agricultural ecosystems. The region possesses abundant freshwater resources, extensive river networks, fertile floodplains, vast wetlands, mangrove forests, and favorable climatic conditions suitable for all year-round agricultural production. These natural advantages position the Niger Delta to become Nigeria's leading hub for aquaculture and fisheries, cassava production, and industrial starch processing, oil palm revitalization, rice cultivation in suitable floodplains, cocoa production, coconut development, plantain and banana value chains, vegetables, spices, poultry, and integrated farming systems. With the right investments in agriculture, technology, research, storage, transportation, processing, and market access, the Niger Delta can become a major contributor to national food security while generating employment for millions of young people. This is why collaboration between the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the NDDC is both timely and very strategic. We envision a partnership focused on developing climate-resilient agricultural infrastructure, expanding irrigation and water resource development, strengthening fisheries and aquaculture across coastal communities, establishing agricultural processing and irrigation centers, promoting youth-led agribusiness enterprises, empowering women farmers through improved access to finance and technology, rehabilitating rural roads that connect farms to markets, supporting digital agriculture and precision farming technologies, strengthening agricultural research and extension services, and attracting greater private sector investment into agricultural value chains. The Niger Delta should not merely be viewed as an oil-producing region. It should also emerge as one of Nigeria's foremost centers of agricultural productivity, food processing, agribusiness innovation, and export competitiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, no nation can attain sustainable prosperity without achieving food security. Food security reduces poverty, improves nutrition, strengthens public health, creates employment, stabilizes communities, supports industrialization, and enhances national resilience. It is therefore the responsibility of every stakeholder, government at all levels, development partners, financial institutions, research organizations, the private sector, traditional institutions, civil society, and the farming communities to contribute actively to this national objective. The Renew Hope Agenda provides the policy direction. Our collective responsibility is to translate that vision into measurable outcomes that improve the lives of Nigerians. As we deliberate during this summit, let us commit ourselves to practical collaborations that delivers results. Let us invest in innovation, infrastructure, young people, women, farmers, and resilient agricultural system capable of feeding our nation today and sustaining future generations. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security remains fully committed to working closely with the NDDC, state governments across the Niger Delta, development partners, and the private sector to unlock the region's enormous agricultural potential. Together, we can transform agriculture into the engine of inclusive growth, create millions of decent jobs, improve rural incomes, strengthen food security, and realize the vision of the Renew Hope Agenda. I thank the Niger Delta Development Commission for providing this platform for constructive engagement, and I look forward to stronger partnerships that will accelerate agricultural transformation across the Niger Delta. and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you for your attention. God bless the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Marcus Sugumbi. Thank you very much for that impactful message. The question is no longer whether resources exist, but how effectively we can deploy them to transform lives. And of course, it's now time to get to the first plenary session. And this session is entitled, Drawing on Existing Commitments in Agricultural Finance. Please join me as I make welcome the chair of this session, the one, the only Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agribusiness and Productivity Enhancement. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Kingsley Uzoma as he comes forward. Let's celebrate him some more. The very hardworking, dedicated, and committed Nigerian who is ensuring that food is on the table of every Nigerian. Thank you for your leadership, Dr. Kingsley Uzoma. And also a part of the session, we have the panelists. I'd like to welcome the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agric, representing the Minister of Agriculture, to please step forward. I'd also like the Country Director of the World Bank, the representative, please. The representative of the Country Director of the World Bank, please a round of applause for them as they come forward. We'd also have Dr. Abdul Kamara, Acting Vice President of AFDB. Let's celebrate them. Also a part of the panelists, we have Ambassador Goita Mignot, the Country Director General EU. I guess he'll be represented by who is now a Nigerian and loves swallow a lot. Let's celebrate him. All right. So also a part of this session, we have Ayo Shortinri, MD and CEO, Bank of Agriculture. If we have the representative, please kindly join them on stage. And also, if we have the representative of the Governor of Imo State, we'd also like you to join for this panel discussion. All right, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State have been told to call you up for this discussion. Please, let's celebrate her. The only woman in this session. And please, I'd like the organizers to make reservation for her to sit as quickly as possible as she comes forward. Quickly. All right, we'd like the stage managers to please get a seat for the Deputy Governor. All right, okay, thank you very much.
No, stand. I'm moderating it. For the sake of time, we'll have to go straight to this panel, which is drawing on existing commitments in agricultural finance. And that's why we've been able to bring our development partners, multinational development banks, who are providing funding to different portfolios within the agriculture and food security ecosystem in the country. So, first, I must thank you all for coming. And also for the management of NDDC under the leadership of the MD for deeming it necessary at this critical time in our nation to see what we can do to enhance the contribution of Niger Delta towards our agricultural economy. So today we are here to actually look at, in as much as we want to raise funds to finance agriculture within the region, there are still existing portfolios that we are not really tapping into very well. So, and we want to use this opportunity to see what each stakeholder here in the podium is doing and how we can enhance the multiplier effect of such funds, which Mr. President, under his love for agriculture, had. In fact, the World Bank recently started the Agro Project. So that's why we're here today. The section will take stock of existing federal, state, and international commitments to agricultural finance and explore how those commitments can be built on to translate into visible investment pipelines on ground in the Niger Delta. Because just like MD of Origin Group stated, in the Niger Delta, we've not really paid attention to the enormous potential within the agricultural sector in the region. So we want to see how already existing investments, how can we leverage on them to catalyze further investment within the region? And that will be part of the pool that will sink into the $500 million visionary decision of the MD. So our discussion today will share perspective on aligning federal, subnational, and development partners' priorities around shared regional growth. And the framework of law will be, the section will open with the group questions to all discussants, focusing on translating existing commitments into deployed capital and aligning institutional priorities. Following this, each discussant will respond to a targeted question aligned with the specific mandate and perspectives of his own institution or entity. The audience will have the opportunity to engage with the panel through question and answer segment before the closing remark. So the group questions, all participants, all discussants, this for all of you. How can existing states, federal states, and donor commitments to agricultural finance be effectively translated into capital deployment on the ground in the Niger Delta region? So I will start with the Vice President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Kamara.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Kashim Shettima, GCO and Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellencies, Honorable Governors present here, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, our Royal Fathers amongst us here, my colleagues, development partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for creating the opportunity for the African Development Bank to be here. Of course, the African Development Bank is a very strong partner of Nigeria. We are engaged in Nigeria using what we call the country strategy paper, which is actually derived from the country's own development framework, basically the Renewed Hope Agenda, focusing very much on infrastructure, of which in its detailed consideration, basically agricultural transformation, agro-industry is part of that process. So specifically to your question, we have had a lot of speeches this morning, and one of them that really was an eye-opener was from a colleague from the private sector, I think Prince Samuel. He spoke of infrastructure, he spoke of especially logistics value chains. And unlocking these really require that we engage in an approach that is really comprehensive. For the Niger Delta Basin, of course, we require an engagement that will look at how do we really come up with, because the question is capital mobilization. So how do we come up with bankable operations? For me, the first will be that we do an assessment, which is already done, because otherwise we wouldn't have been where we are. And then, but the second is, an identification of detailed pipeline of bankable operations, because that is what brings all of us around the table, to ensure that we look at areas of our comparative advantage, and then we can pick out what relates to what we are doing. Of course, when the Minister of Agriculture spoke, you heard of SAPZ, which we are doing. We also have programs that create opportunities for the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank project. We also have, a bigger program that is trying to take advantage of technology, digitization, but also bring small MSMEs to take advantage of that value chain in the context of the IDAs. So again, to your question, yes, detailed analysis, bankable operations, dialogue around development personnel to ensure that they pick out what aligns to their own development
If I can get you, detailed analysis is very important so that you have a targeted intervention within the region. That's something we have to take you on after this program on the conversation, the detailed analysis. So I'll move on to Hardwick. World Bank. So how can existing federal, state, and donor commitments to agricultural finance be more effectively translated into capital deployed on the ground in the Niger Delta? And please, because His Excellency the Vice President is here, we have to be very brief in our answers, direct to the point so that we don't spend much time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Hardwick. I am here representing the country director of the. So, Your Excellency, I will go over a few of the questions that the chairman has raised. I think starting with the first one, which is how to leverage the financing commitments that are already made by government and by development partners to create capital that can work for the agriculture sector. I think I have two opinions here. The first one is to make sure that there is stronger coordination between the federal, state, and other players or other stakeholders that work in the agricultural sector on policies and programs that are meant to support the sector. I'm saying this because we are all working in this together, and the most important thing is to make sure that we maximize the synergies that can exist across the stakeholders, but also at the same time reduce the areas where we have overlaps and the duplication of effort.
Thank you. If I can get you, coordination is very important, and I guess you're aware of an office, a unit which is under the Vice President, the Presidential Food System Coordinating Unit. So after this meeting, I think we need to have more broader conversation to align, to layer in the Niger Delta Agri-Development and Investment Fund into the operational framework of that unit as regards to the own decision on coordination. So next, I want to hear the perspective of my friend Ayo Sotorin, MD of Bank of Agriculture.
Your Excellency, sir, all protocols observed. For us at the Bank of Agriculture, we've been active in the space in the agri-financing, about say, window within Nigeria. We have 5 critical programs that we are working with other stakeholders, other partners on. Number 1 is the Renewed Hope Smallholder Support and Value Chain Fund, which is a program set aside by His Excellency, Mr. President, to give $250 million, 250 billion naira, in terms of inputs to smallholder farmers. And so far, we've given 20 farm irrigation companies financing for input, over 2 million bags of fertilizer, 32,000 tons of seeds, and also about 500,000 liters of crop protection. Second is the largest mechanization program in Africa, where we spend over $1 billion in acquiring mechanization equipment, which we are getting states to key in to subsidize, tractors. I think we have over 2,000 currently. We're expecting another 2,000 extra. About 7 states, mostly in the north, have keyed into it. We're begging the states in the south to also key into it as well. This is how we can open up all the lands in the south to be able to do a lot of cash crop planting. The third program is the 1 million hectare tree crop program, where Mr. President has said we should be ambitious about our program to finance about $2.5 billion across 5 very important cash crops or tree crop: cashew, cocoa, oil palm, rubber, and coffee. Nigeria used to be the 2nd or 3rd largest exporter of coffee in the 50s and the 60s. So it's a very important commodity that we need to bring back, not only cocoa. The third one is the guarantee minimum pricing scheme, where we have about 200 billion naira to give farmers a top-up for every staple crops that they've planted. What I mean by that is a lot of farmers, because of import parity, have lost a lot in terms of the disparity between the production cost and the low cost of commodities currently in the market. Maize, for example, goes for about 270,000 naira in the market per ton. We are giving 350,000 naira to only farmers, not or arbitrageurs. All this shows that there is very intentional efforts to actually crowd in capital in the agriculture sector for the first time in Nigeria, and it is within the financing platform, which is the largest bank of agriculture in Nigeria, to provide financing to the smallholder farmers in partnership with our sister agencies, NADF, NAUDA, and also our development partners as well. We're working with AFTB very closely. We're working with the World Bank, the EU, and a few other partners. In the course of today, we'll share more about the programs that we have, but I think for the sake of time, I would only talk about these 5 for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I can get you right, the 1 million hectares very much aligns with the bold vision of this fund that the Niger Delta Development Commission want to set up. So that's a conversation that the Commission and the bank will continue to advance beyond this stage. Now to His Excellency, Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. How can existing federal, state, and donor commitments to agricultural finance be effectively translated into capital deployed on the ground in the Niger Delta? So you can use Akwa Ibom as a test ground for the Niger Delta.
Thank you very much, the moderator, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a man who is consciously driving, helping, supporting the President to drive the economy of this nation. I acknowledge everyone seated here. I want to appreciate the earlier speakers, the donors or the financial people that bring the resources to help in developing the agri-chem sector. Yes, funding is very, very pivotal in the agri sector, because it's not just for the subsistence that we are talking about here. We are looking at a farmer that will go bigger and plan for exports. And so the first thing, if I must, I want to take the Akwa Ibom state as a model, having identified the need to build up the agri sector outside the oil. What the Akwa Ibom state government is doing first is to identify the farmers. We group them into clusters of cooperatives, and they are intentionally trained to know how to put up a proposal if we need to go to any bank for funding. If that is not done, a farmer cannot just walk up to get what he or she desires to help in that development. But for Akwa Ibom State, as a subnational, knowing that they must have this base, the grouping of the farmers into cooperative, the governor approves and gives out a free grant to the small farmers, and from there they are able at least to get the skill, know what to do at each stage. Other than that, in Akwa Ibom State, we also identify and note that before you can go into mechanized farming, you need land. And so Akwa Ibom State has identified the land suitable for planting. You cannot ask a farmer who wants to maybe invest in rice farming to go to a dry area. An area suitable for that specific planting is identified, and we have that data. The area for cassava is also identified. The area for palm fruits, you don't just drop it anywhere. There must be specific areas. That has been done in Akwa Ibom State, and that's going to help the farmers to source for the support, the funding. Other than that, in Akwa Ibom State, when I made the remark on behalf of the governor, I did mention that the governor came, apart from the hospitality sector, he was in charge of the agri business in Akwa Ibom State before going into the ESCO. And so he had also identified the need for bigger farms. That's the Songhai model, which I mentioned, and is ongoing. The one in the senatorial district is almost there. To help farmers again, the government has opened up feeder roads, mopping up the people in groups to farm. You will definitely have a product that needs to come out from the rural sector. And so feeder roads has been opened up, and what the governor does again to support, to encourage them, is mopping up the product at the end of the day, providing storage facilities like one of the presenters mentioned, fishing. Those who go out to fish, they come back with large quantity that they may not be able to sell off. And so how do they preserve it? And how do they process it? In Akwa Ibom State, the focus or the vision of the governor is to help the farmers, whether in fishing, in cassava, in palm fruits, whatever farming that they identify to do, to go mega. And that's where we will need the finance to come. And again, I want to encourage investors, people who are interested in what is happening in Akwa Ibom State to come up. Tractors, equipment, which was earlier acknowledged by one of the speakers in Akwa Ibom State, is also given to the farmers to help them go to the farm and do the clearing, do the farming with ease.
Thank you.
Like you're pushing me to stop. Thank you.
If I can get you, one of the things you can do to translate existing investments, the infrastructure, agricultural infrastructure, roads, storage infrastructure, these are things that are very necessary to deployment of capital, sustainable capital within the ecosystem. So that's the takeaway. And now to EU, Mr. Massimo. So how can existing federal, state, and donor commitments to agricultural finance be more effectively translated into capital deployed on the ground in the Niger Delta region? So you know we have very limited time because His Excellency the Vice President has other engagements. So we have to be very brief in your response.
Thank you very much. I was expecting a different question. But with regard to deployment of finance, I really stand by what my colleague said, especially when it comes to aggregators, IO, that's the way to go. We cannot keep really thinking that we can successfully finance individual farmers, and this is what we are trying to do with our partners, the banks that we support, like DBN, like FMO, and other banks banks that are going to be present in the near future, but of course the Bank of Agriculture, Bank of Industry, and so on and so forth. Just, because you mentioned the UDR, the deforestation regulation, allow me just to say a couple of things. Just to remind you, everybody,
we can get to that section later. Just 10 seconds response, one line. To all of you, what institutional or coordination mechanisms would most help align federal, state, and international partners around a shared Niger Delta agricultural investment agenda? Just one line, 10 seconds. Starting with PAMSEC, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just about saying that we know that agriculture is mainly practiced in the states. It's not in the federal capital. So as Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, one major thing that we want to do is to involve and coordinate with the state government, the subnationals, because they are the ones that have the land, they are the ones that have the human resources to do agriculture. And so we prioritize taking youth and women and the vulnerables in the states.
Just one line. So if I may take you on your word, is finding the right engagement with the subnationals.
Yes.
Because that's the question. So, Vice President of Bank of African Development Bank, what institutional coordination mechanism would most help align federal, state, and development international partners around a shared Niger Delta agricultural investment agenda?
I think as we heard from the minister, I think we've had also of coordination. I think the state leadership is very, very important, and that's why you see our model like the SAPZ model that we have, which I will talk about a little bit later if I have the opportunity. It's federal-led, of course supported by development partners. I have my colleague here from IFAD, who is co-financing, but it's actually directly with the states. So for the Niger Delta region, for example, I know this forum is already, a very great step in the right direction. A clearly vetted and well-analyzed investment plan that will come with bankable operations. Can also be, very much, a way to go that will enable us to look at our comparative advantage and crowding resources.
If I can get you, having state-led assessment backed by the federal government so now backed by NDDC, that's the right way. So Hardwick, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. On your...
I would like to say that at the federal level, the development partners actually have what we call the Agriculture Development Partner Working Group. And this group works with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and other stakeholder MDAs. I believe this is something that can actually be replicated in the 9 states in the Niger Delta to try to understand what we are doing as individual entities, because it's only by knowing who is doing what that we'll be able to coordinate and put our efforts together so that we can support the government priorities.
Thank you. If I may get you, have a replica of the Agricultural Coordinating Donor Working Group. So we have the Niger Delta Agricultural Coordinating Donor Working Group. If I can get your award, we'll start that immediately after this to set up that coordinating working group together with your assistance under the platform of the World Bank. Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Bank of Agri, Ayo.
Thank you, Dr. Kingsley. Again, they can be sub-RTA coordination points, like the donor working group, the President of the World Bank has talked about. Also, the central coordination points is the Federal Ministry of Agriculture led by Senator Chiari under the leadership of His Excellency the Vice President, and all of us will continue to work together to ensure that we're not duplicating efforts across the country within the agriculture space. Thank you.
Thank you. Massimo, 20 seconds. what coordination or institutional mechanism do you think will help most?
Of course, we are also members of the agricultural group, very committed to coordinating, even from, with the ministry directly. And that's also important, let me say, for the implementation of the UDR coordination between national and states is going to be very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellency.
Mine will just be one straight sentence. Effective collaboration between the local government, the state government, and the federal government. When that is done, we'll be able to work together.
Coordination, I believe we can take something out of this. That's the Agricultural Coordinating Working Group for the country. We can have the Niger Delta Agricultural Coordinating Working Group. That's a key takeaway. So finally, questions to each of you. Briefly, 1 minute. I will start with Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. What has the administration prioritized on land access, security of tenure, or agro-industrial infrastructure that you believe positioned Akwa Ibom State well for this kind of investment this summit hopes to attract?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to say that in Akwa Ibom State, we have a policy that is working because land is very, very important. I did mention when I was making my earlier comments that we have a database for land in Akwa Ibom State, and giving out land in a transparent way, efficient and equitable land for specific farming is one of the things we've done. Then, apart from that, the government has also identified designated areas for that process. We also, in Akwa Ibom State, protect high potential agric land from being taken over by the urban development. The specific area
classification of land.
And then for you to have a land, if an investor comes in and you need land allocation C of O, that again, there's a straight effective policy that you can have land C of O with ease. The establishment of the Aqua GIS in Akwa Ibom State is making that very, very easy. Thank you.
So if I can get you digital platform for land administration, makes it ease of business for any agricultural investor. Everything is digitally done. So to the PAMSEC, with this SAPZ program, the Fertilizer Initiative, the new Federal Minister of Livestock Development already, how do you see the Niger Delta region fitting into the broader federal agenda? 1 minute.
Very much. It addresses the of value chain development. Lots of things being produced in Niger Delta. So currently, Cross River State is a member in the first phase, participating in the SAPZ. And so we see Niger Delta to the IDDC to also be encourage the participation of one or two more states from the Niger Delta, so that we can actually hold the value addition processes and develop the production of these crops and then add value to it. Well, it's not just by producing, it's by producing and adding value to it. So we see SAPC in the phase 2, which will start very soon, the phase 2. We expect that the NADC will key in and enroll at least one or two of the NADC mandate states to participate in the program.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vice President of AFDB, Dr. Kamara. So to you, AFDB has co-financed agro-industrial hub projects in Nigeria before, including Cross River and Imo State. what lessons from the experience would be most valuable to carry into the Niger Delta-wide program, especially with this investment fund they're trying to set up?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We have a very big portfolio, of course, in the country of about $6.4 billion in energy, in transport, in financial sector, but also in agriculture. SAPZ is just one. And by the way, the SAPZ, we are currently in 7 states plus the FCT. We're in Kaduna, Kwara, Kano, Cross River, Imo State, Ogun, Oyo, and the FCT. IFAD is co-financing with us and Islamic Development Bank. With we are already at $510 million in all of these states. What does the SAPZ do? I think it's important. It does 3 things. It's an initiative that tries to cluster production processing in a high potential area where you address infrastructure gaps. You bring in roads, energy, water processing plants in a concentrated area where you support production, but also you create an aggregation center where products are sorted, are aggregated, and then you have the agro-industrial hubs. Of course, you have to produce at volumes and scales that are predictable to ensure that those hubs will continue running. And that is where the other program that the minister just referred to, the NACS, that we financed with $134 million in 2024, and this year we've just approved $200 million, but that is now going to go through the BOI, is addressing to ensure that we get the production right. Very quickly, in terms of, you said in terms of key lessons, leadership is key.
Thank you. We need to move on. Now to Mr. Massimo, with EU and due diligence regulations shaping export-oriented agriculture, what would you recommend Niger Delta producers and processors begin preparing for now?
Yeah, we are present in Niger Delta, specifically in Ondo State and Cross Rivers. I believe that both of them are under the remit of NDDC. And there we work really from the off-takers along the value chain. Now, as you know, we have to prove that land has not been deforested since the end of 2020. So we need the images that prove that. We need a specific effort to establish that all the relevant laws, as the Deputy Governor explained, are respected, whether on land management, on environmental protection, on labor protection. And this is an effort that we need to be able to do together, to make together at federal and state level.
Thank you. Land administration, digital land administration. Hardwick, within the World Bank existing agricultural portfolio in Nigeria, what opportunity do you see for near-term collaboration with Niger Delta Agro-Industrial Pipeline? 1 minute.
Thank you so much, Chair. The World Bank Group has a portfolio of about $2 billion in the agriculture sector, covering livestock development, irrigation development, infrastructure development, and climate resilience. We also have a project that supports rural infrastructure development. But I would want to emphasize on a new project called AGRO. It's agricultural.
1 minute.
Agricultural Value Chains for Development project. It has been approved by the board of the World Bank just a couple of months ago. The total funding is $500 million. It's a project that aims to promote private sector investment in agriculture, but at the same time also provide the government with resources to promote research into seed, into quality fertilizer, and also improve the policies surrounding agribusiness development.
Thank you.
So, Chair, I think besides this, there is also a policy
Thank you. We have to continue.
Thank you so much.
Ayo, the BOI is undergoing major transformation and expanding its development finance. So what financing window and programs are currently available that Niger Delta can immediately leverage?
I didn't hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
The Bank of Agric is undergoing major transformation and expanding development finance portfolios. What financing window programs are currently available that Niger Delta State can immediately leverage from?
I believe the Smallholder Finance and Value Chain Fund that I mentioned initially, ₦250 trillion naira. We're working with state governments to do a matching fund so that we can grow the pot to about $500 billion. And it is for us to create sub-funds in states, where states bring 10 billion, we bring 10 billion, and we create financing at 9% single digits for smallholder farmers. That's one. Also, our mechanization program, state governors get 40% for the tractors that they buy from us. We jointly create agri-hubs and we manage those tractors based on the fact we have service centers across the country. And lastly, the tree crop program that we're trying to work on. It's a $2 billion opportunity to crowd in funding into tree crop across the Niger Delta states, over 1 million hectares. If we do that, we're guaranteed after 5-6 years to generate over $5 billion revenue for the country every year in cocoa, oil palm, cashew, coffee, and rubber that I talked about. So for us, we're very keen on working with Niger Delta states to realize this potential. Thank you.
These are all Niger Delta value chain. So in the summary, I can say coordination, digital administration, land administration, and also keying into existing portfolio. So I'll take you on that establishment of the working group for the Niger Delta so that we can kickstart this process of fundraising together with the partners. Thank you all, and thank you for participating. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Now time for photograph quickly, just so we can capture this moment. All the panelists, photographers, please take position quickly, if that is possible, or we can skip. All right, just one will do. All right. Thank you very much, the panelists, and of course to the chair of the session. Indeed, this summit is more than a conference. It is a commitment to rewrite the economic future of the Niger Delta. Please, a round of applause for them if you paid attention and you enjoyed the session thoroughly. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for them. It's now time to listen to our special guest of honor. If you're very conversant with the Renewed Hope agenda, of course, you would know that one of the popular quotes of the president is that power is not served a la carte. You have to work hard for it. And one man who is working very hard to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of Nigeria is the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a leader known for intellect, humility, and unwavering dedication to the Renewed Hope agenda. A statesman par excellence and a distinguished patriot. Please, a round of applause for the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON.
Kindly take your seats, please. State Pastor Umo Eno, ably represented by the Deputy Governor, Her Excellency Senator Akon A, and representatives of other state governors. The Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Honorable Abubakar Momo, FNSE. The Chairman, Governing Board of Niger Delta Development Commission, Mr. Chiedu Ibie, and other members of the board. The Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Niger Delta Development Commission, the game changer, Dr. Samuel Ogboko, and the management staff of NDDC present here. Leadership is very crucial in every organization. There were so many interventions in the Niger Delta, right from the 1.5% oil mineral producing area development, to amnesty program, to OMPADEC that eventually transmuted into the NDDC. Some few years back, NDDC could be better described as Niger Delta Comedy Commission because their managing directors were polling at National Assembly sessions and so on. That's why leadership is crucial. with the coming of Dr. Ogbuku, we have seen a sea change in the fortunes of the NDDC. Members of the diplomatic corps, most especially my Italian friend, the Umala swallowing Massimo De Luca. Italy did not make it to the World Cup. It's one of the giants of European football. So also was Nigeria, one of the giants of African football. So we are on the same boat. The keynote speaker and chairman Origin Group, my very good friend Prince Samuel Joseph Samuel, development partners, our very colorful royal fathers from the Niger Delta, including the social activists, the ever-present Mujahid Asoro Dokubo. Members of the Fourth Estate of the Rim, honored guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The promise of an agricultural boom is one we cannot afford to take for granted. Nations survive on many resources, but they endure because they can feed themselves. Agriculture is therefore not only the foundation of civilization, it is the first guarantee of political stability. Before a people raise cities, they must learn to feed themselves. And before a state earns the loyalty of its citizens, it must secure their daily bread. This is why agriculture has remained at the very heart of our national agenda. And I am honored to stand with you at this distinguished gathering as we march into the future. What has set us apart as a federation is the ambition of each region, the healthy rivalry among regions, daring one another to dream. Yet no such ambition is realized without leaders who understand that no harvest comes without the discipline of planting, the patience of tending, and the courage to invest ahead of the rains. This is why we have gathered here today with the governors of all 9 states upon 3 pillars: to launch a dedicated investment fund, to coordinate the commitments already pledged to this region, and to inaugurate the institution that will steer them, summoning the capital of the world to this corridor. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we began as an agrarian economy, and the foundation of this nation was laid upon it. Before the barrel, it was the soil that paid our bills. The groundnut pyramids of the north, the cocoa estates of the west, and the palm produce of the east and the Niger Delta financed our early schools and hospitals and underwrote the young institutions of a new republic. Then oil arrived, Oloibiri, some 70-odd years ago, only to sidetrack the journey. For its ease dulled the industry of the cutlass, and a country that once fed itself land instead to import what its own soil could grow. What makes this vision inspiring is that it arises from a region that could have rested on its oil well and left feeding the nation to other hands. The Niger Delta has instead chosen to return to an identity older than crude itself. For the palm oil of these creeks fueled the commerce of continents long before the first barrel was drilled. It has chosen to transform this region, feed the nation, and attract the world. This is where philosophy must give way to action. The Niger Delta Agricultural Investment Fund of $500 million, which we launched today, is a commercial, returns-driven vehicle spanning the value chain from aquaculture and palm oil to cassava, cocoa, rice, horticulture, marine resources, and livestock. Around it, we coordinate the commitments already pledged by the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and our private and commercial financiers. Above board stands the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Council, which I am honored to chair, with the NDDC as its secretariat. Beneath it lies a demand-side strategy, preparing bankable projects across all 9 mandate states. It is no coincidence that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR placed food security among the earliest priorities of this administration, because nations that lose control of their food eventually surrender the control of their future. His July 2023 declaration of a state of emergency shifted our national approach from the boardroom to the ground, across production, market stabilization, and food access. This is why mechanization has been the centerpiece of the drive, and why the administration launched the renewed Hope Agricultural Mechanization Program for 10,000 hectares tractors over 5 years, alongside local assembly plants, and in parallel with the John Deere Tractorization Program, the Green Hope Project, and the Green Imperative Program. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Theodore Roosevelt in 1910, in his Man in the Arena speech, said it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of do's could have done some better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. In the social media, you can spend the whole of the week pouring venom on the president, pouring invectives on him, for he is the man who is actually in the arena, who had the courage of conviction to take far-reaching decisions, who is daring greatly, and is attested to by our guest speaker. We are very intentional about some of the decisions we have taken in this administration. We are intentional of developing 1 million hectares of root crops, cocoa, oil palm, cashew, with our research institutes, deliberately developing new hybrid planting materials. And in 8 years, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, from the new 1 million hectares, we can add up to $5 billion to our economy. Indonesia is an oil-producing state, but Indonesia in 2025 earned $45 billion from 53 million tons of crude palm oil, exporting only 32 million tons. Revenues exceeded more than Nigeria's oil revenue, or just 50% of what Indonesia earned from oil palm exports. And what about the mariculture? The Niger Delta is the third largest delta in the world. And Your Excellencies, as I have always said, in this great nation of ours, we have no business being poor. We are potentially one of the richest countries in the world. There are certain parts of this country that where if money can grow, you can plant money and harvest tremendous money resources. And what do people in mariculture do? Fish farming, salmon, sea bass, tuna, milk fish in sea cages or pens, shellfish, oysters, mussels, clams, scallops on ropes and on trucks. You can also grow the crustaceans, shrimps, crabs, lobsters, and Niger Delta is endowed with those resources. Cassava, for instance, Thailand, the second largest producer in the world, earned over $3 billion from only 26 million metric tons of cassava, while Nigeria produces an average of 66 million metric tons and earn less than $1 billion because our yields are 6 tons, while Thailand is getting 22 tons per hectare. So the whole mantra is on increase in yield. And by embracing technology, improved seeds, fertilization, tractorization, we can cross the Rubicon. This country holds great potential, and I dare to tell you that the president of Nigeria is a game changer. He has the courage of conviction to take far-reaching decisions, all in an effort to reposition the national economy. And he is not someone who is prone to blame game, no. For the past 3 years, the easiest way you can earn the wrath of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to criticize Muhammadu Buhari, no. The buck stops on his desk, and he is ready to take responsibility for whatever that comes out of his actions. When we assumed the mantle of leadership, we had less than $4 billion in our foreign reserves. Now we have crossed the Rubicon. We have over $50 billion, and it's growing, the highest in 17 years. Yes, we have challenges of inflation. Yes, we have challenges of food security or insecurity. But has the government folded its arms? The truthful answer is no. Geopolitics, the crisis in the Middle East. There are nations that are even rationing fuel. Are we rationing fuel supplies to our vehicles? The answer is no. And no matter how long the night is, it must give way to the light of the dawn. Yes, the weather is stormy, but it won't rain forever. I will urge Nigerians, I will urge our development partners to rally around us and salvage the ship of the state. 1 out of every 4 black men, I am bound to say, 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, we will surpass the United States. We will be the 3rd most populous nation on earth. Our population will cross 440 million people. And by the end of the century, Nigeria will be the most populous nation on earth. This is a great nation. And I would rather be a small fish in a big pond than be a big fish in a small pond. Wherever Nigeria goes, because the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make or mar that transition. Wherever Nigeria goes, that's where Africa goes. People celebrate Botswana. I respect them. People celebrate Rwanda. I adore Paul Kagame. People talk about Seychelles. Yes, the economy has turned the corner. But what is the population of Botswana? Not more than Shomolu local government area of Lagos State. What is the population of Seychelles? Not more than 2 wards in Kano metropolis. What is the population of even Rwanda? The population of Rwanda is half the population of Lagos State. So numbers count. Take it or leave it. Nigeria is a great nation. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we began, as I said, as an agrarian economy. And the foundation of this nation was laid upon it. And I urge you, I beseech thee, I wish to impress on us, let us recreate that our agricultural heritage. Let's provide hope to the hopeless. Let's provide jobs for our mass of humanity. I want to commend the governor of Akwa Ibom State. Just last week, Agri-Invest, one of the leading oil palm manufacturers and producers in Malaysia, they came to my office with their Nigerian counterpart, Octopus. I called the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umo Eno. First dial, he picked the phone. And these are people who are willing to invest $500 million on oil palm. They will start with 10,000 hectares in Akwa Ibom. He said, given, let them come and start work at once. This is leadership. Leadership means walking the talk. Leadership is about taking far-reaching decisions. And leadership is not meant for nice men. Nice men should be selling chocolates, ice cream, and overlap. I want to thank you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I invite every investor, every development partner, and every governor to treat this summit as the start of an obligation rather than the end of a ceremony. The phone is launched. The commitments are aligned. The council is constituted, and the pipeline awaits your conviction. History rewards those who plant, and prosperity remembers those who water the seed. The Niger Delta has spent generations growing well from beneath its soil. Today, it chooses also to draw abundance from the soil itself. Oil built an economy. Agriculture will secure a civilization. If this summit succeeds, future generation will remember this day not for the fun we launch, but for the balance we restored. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please, we'd like those on the front row to please join the Vice President on stage for a group photograph quickly.